How do back escapes differ in gi and in no gi? That's from John Doe. You know what? The fundamental moves are the same. The fundamental moves are the same. However, in gi, it's far more dangerous to give up your back, okay? It's far more dangerous because you can use the lapel to choke you in so many different ways, particularly the bow and arrow choke. There's a choke from the back you can do with the gi that obviously you cannot do without the gi because you need the lapel, you need the pants, you need to get like almost like an armbar position. The bow and arrow choke is a very, very powerful choke. Now you'll see guys in gi get to the back and it's almost over almost all the time. It's much harder to escape. Now the escapes are similar, very similar. However, they're much harder to do because the guy on the back has so much more options. Okay, so it's just a lot harder to escape the choking. But the escapes themselves are very, very similar. What do you think about the inside camping for Gordon Ryan uses? Can you use them in MMA? That's from Vinan Gaming. I'm a big camper, okay? For those of you who don't know, camping just kind of means like when you're fighting somebody with a really good guard, you put him in a position where he's kind of carrying your weight, okay? Because he's the man on the bottom. He can use all sorts of great techniques to regard. However, when you find that it's hard to pass somebody's guard, we go into what we call a, quote, camping position. Camping means I'm going to stay here. I'm going to hold you here. I'm going to soften you up because you're spending more energy than I am. So if I camp out in these positions, you're going to start getting really tired. You're going to start carrying my weight. I'm going to soften you up and I'm going to pass your guard. I'm a big believer in this system. Okay, so I'm a big believer in doing loose passing and body lock passing. Now, from these two, I think you have camping positions. So when you're loose passing, meaning you're passing the guard standing up, or when you're body lock passing, usually on your knees. Okay, when we're on our knees, we call it like body lock passing or smash passing. I think the two have phenomenal camping positions. So you do both passes, but you do both passing system. You can pass on your knees. You can pass standing up on your feet. Both are ultra important, but both have camping positions. Now, I do it all the time in MMA sparring as well. It's a fantastic, fantastic method of holding people down. But you're right. In MMA, I don't think it's caught on yet. Because I would say 99% of, no, maybe 80% of MMA guys pass the old school way, okay? Because the jiu-jitsu hasn't been upgraded so much in the MMA world. Why? Because there are things you could do that are more important, like just kind of punching, ground and pound. Those things are more important for MMA guys. So MMA fighters won't spend their time learning all these intricate type of camping positions because for them, why do that? I kind of hold the guy down and just kind of hit him. It's a lot more points, a lot more impressive for the judges. It's a lot more relevant to their sport. However, with that being said, I think people would have a harder time getting up to their feet if MMA fighters knew more of these camping positions. So in time, when MMA fighters find more time or they start to understand the benefits of these type of grips, they can work in MMA, absolutely. Oh, you're right. I misread it. Goodness gracious, what's wrong with me? How do back escapes differ in no gi and MMA? Okay, my bad. I did a comparison between gi and no gi. I don't know why I did that. In MMA, look, the escapes are identical except one major factor. Okay, one major factor. I'll tell you something. When you escape the back in MMA, if you get mounted, it could be worse. So in jiu-jitsu, like you have somebody on your back, you start escaping. There's one side of the escapes that leads to you maybe getting mounted, maybe. Now, as you're escaping, you might slide your knee between you and your partner, and then he doesn't mount you. You have kind of a leg lock entry. Okay. Now, in MMA, escaping to a particular side, if you escape that direction and the guy mounts you, you just make things worse. Because in MMA, the guy could obviously punch you. In jiu-jitsu, the guy scored on you, but you're already in a bad spot. You're probably for sure behind already because the guy has your back. In MMA, there's one side. If you go that way, you can get mounted, and mounted, you get knocked out. Because it's hard for me to knock you out if I have your back. Okay, in MMA, if I have your back. For me to hit you from your back, it's very hard. Like I can kind of give you little shots, but nothing significant. If you escape and you end up giving me the mount, now my shots can really hurt you. Like we're talking about, you can have your lights be put out from the mount position. Okay, so it's much more risky to do certain escapes that risk the mount. So personally, when I have my back taken, I always like try to escape in a way that gets me to my knees, or I can spin around and get on top of the guy. I could face the guy. I do different escapes because I don't want to risk getting mounted. If you get mounted in MMA, it could be really, really bad. Okay, so when you're, I should do a video about that, like the difference between escaping from no gi, and escaping in MMA, and highlight exactly what these dangers are.